Greetings once again, my fellow expressions of consciousness. If you're new to this channel, what I do in this channel is to help point people outside of their limiting beliefs that they are a limited being, because it's simply not true. God loves evil. This is true. Now, of course, this will sound ludicrous to religious people. But if you are a religious person watching this, you need to understand through reasoning where your idea, belief, trust in what God is may be incorrect, for want of a better word. Let's imagine the religious understanding of God, the Abrahamic God, this external God that exists but not here, like elsewhere, outside of reality, outside of the dimension, outside of the universe somehow. But it's still an entity, so it still takes up some space. So that God, who within religion, not necessarily the books, because books can be interpreted differently as they are. Hence you have different Christians and different Muslims and different Jews, as in their beliefs. Some are more mystical, some are not, etc. So the sort of standard or orthodox view within the Abrahamic faiths of what God is that of a God who has set rules. A God who has set rules is no God. For any person, any God to set rules means they are setting a rule because they have a preference for what is good, what is right, what is bad, what is wrong. Having a preference means, by definition, you are limited in your choosing. You are going for this and not that. You prefer something. Instead of being able to equally accept both things, or the few things, you can only accept one because you are drawn towards that one way, that one thing. Being drawn towards something, having a preference for an object, such as a basketball over a soccer ball, a piece of music over another piece of music, a moral value over another moral value, a good versus another good. Having a preference over which one you deem to be more in line with you, is actually revealing that the object or the idea has more power than you do, or has power over you. Let's say for some reason you preferred this hand to that hand. Instead of just allowing them and loving them both the same. How could you say you are open, you are free from material nature, if it's the material world that you cannot perceive as equal, that you separate? Where's the freedom in you if you cannot just accept all? Just as the space in the universe accepts all stars, all people, all animals, all morals, all minds, they all exist within this one space. Space doesn't discriminate. Have you ever walked down the street and then the space suddenly blocked you because you wasn't the right, wasn't the preference of the space in that area. You had to be a certain person, you had to have a certain intelligence. No, space just allows all things to be. That is true unlimitedness, unboundedness, boundlessness. If space, by definition, blocked off certain people, this so-called physical space, if it blocked off certain people or certain things from walking through, from being, from existing, then that would mean space is limited. By definition, there's a place you cannot go to, a place you are not allowed to be. Going back to God, if God is not allowing certain things, is prescribing certain things, dislikes certain things, that God by definition is limited because it cannot accept all. So this idea of God is the idea of a limited God, and a limited God by definition is not unlimited, because it is a slave to the objects of the world, to the objects of mind, of man, of objects, as I said. Imagine you're all-powerful God, but you prefer this to that. How different are you to a human mind if you have preferences? And furthermore, let's go deeper into that. You are God, okay? And you can't have the same amount of love for two different things. You are God, you created everything, yet you dislike some things that you created. Does that sound like God to you? You created that which you do not like. You created that which you do not prefer. Hence you tell people, don't do this. That will make me mad. That will make me angry. But you created that. The opportunity for that. You see, God, as I've said many times before, is not an external being. External from what, anyway? Reality is always reality. If there's another dimension, that's still reality. Existence is always existence. If there's a place you have not been to, it's still existence. If there's a star far away that has not been found, it's still within existence. It's the same as the idea of an external God. It will still be in existence. It's not external from anything. It's just external from the senses. So people believe, oh, so it must be external from me. You are external from the senses too, the essence of you, but that's another story. We won't go there for now. So yes, that cannot be God. For God to oppose something that creates a limit, that's just a human mind thing. What God is, I'll say it like this. Use your reason. You use your reason to arrive to the conclusion you have now, to the faith you have now. All faith is arrived to through reasoning. All beliefs too. So use reasoning for this as well. So we've got this model of God. It has preferences. It dislikes certain things. Now, try this understanding of God. It is distinct from the world, yes. Just as you could say this one is distinct from the world if you believe it's in another dimension. It's also distinct from the world. But it has absolutely no preferences at all. And when I say distinct from the world, I'm not saying separate. I'm not saying it's elsewhere, as this one is. It's elsewhere. This idea of what we call God, it's present, it's ever present, but it's distinct in that you cannot find it with the senses and say that's God. But it allows all to be. Without it, there could be nothing. There could be no experience, no life. In the same way as the Abrahamic God. You need it for life. Okay, that's fine. But it has absolutely no preferences. It allows all experience to be. It does not limit man, putting pressure on man. Of course, when I say man, I'm talking about humankind. So, of course, women as well. No limitations at all. Limitations. God over here. No limitations. God over here. Limitations. Which one is God? It would actually take this God to allow this God to have the experience of limitation. Because thoughts and mind and preferences, they are all, preferences are all of mind. You prefer this because you don't have as much as an affinity with it as the other thing, or likeness. That's all a mind thing. That's the senses. You're saying God has senses. Senses by definition are limited. All senses are flawed. Flawed in that they cannot, for example, you cannot see infinitely into the distance. You cannot see an ant a mile away with your eyes. Doesn't mean there's no ant there. So you're giving God, the Abrahamic God, you're giving it senses and a mind. That's limited. Even it having something, even having speech, having something. Again, that's a limit, because what we are saying, if God has speech, if it has senses, it has a mind for the preferences, that means without those things, it would not be God. Yet, with this understanding of God over here, I'm suggesting to you that God needs nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's beyond comprehension. It is and it is not, in that you will never be able to perceive it or use imagination about what it is. But you can use imagination about this Abrahamic God, because there's so many attributes that are human attributes. So it gives us an opportunity to have an idea of it. It's like you're playing hide and seek with God and you found it easily. You just open the book. Oh, there it is. Oh, you just imagined it. Oh, yeah, love, yeah. Wrath, yeah. Happiness, yeah. Rules, yeah. I can imagine, yeah, where it's coming from. Versus that which is the source of all. For there could not be a world experiencing without the source of it to always be. Just as you could say the source of your body is the bones or blood or the heart, you could say. Or deeper, you could say it's the life energy. Deeper, you could say it's the world, the universe. But then you can say, hold on, what's aware of this universe? Consciousness. If consciousness is the source of knowing, of God even, then how can God be the source of consciousness? Kind of deviated a little bit there, so let me say that again. You only know of God, you only have reasons about God, you only have faith in God, belief in God, go to church about God, go to the mosque, synagogue and pray to God, talk to God, because you have consciousness. You cannot do these things without consciousness. Thus, consciousness is even prior to you believing in God. Believe in God right now without being conscious. Talk about God right now without being conscious. Do anything without being conscious. I don't mean conscious in the sense of, oh, I didn't realize my arm was laying there or resting there. I didn't realize that stone on the floor, so I tripped over it. I don't mean that conscious, no. I mean conscious in simply being aware that an experience is happening. Full stop. The experience of not realizing where your arm is resting. The experience of not realizing there's a stone in your way. All of that is still prior to the mind then saying, oh, I didn't know this was happening. I didn't know that was happening. That always comes secondary. What's first is always just the light of consciousness allowing the moment to be. And whatever happens in the moment, that's the experience, of course. So consciousness is always prior to thoughts. It's prior to reasoning. It's prior to intelligence. You was conscious before you was intelligent. You was conscious before you fell in love. You was conscious before you fell out of love. You was conscious before you became a Christian, became a Muslim. You was conscious first. It's always prior. Before you got your name even, you was conscious. You was conscious before you had the memory that there was a time when you was a baby. So consciousness is even before you being a baby. I know that might be really weird to hear and you might say no way, but maybe I'll do a video about how you've always been consciousness and you could never have been inside a body, meaning all is consciousness. So yes, so God is not even before consciousness. You can verify this for yourself if you are truly courageous and seek truth. Now imagine you did stand before God, as the Abrahamic faith will tell you. One day you're going to stand before God. There's you, there's God. What's in between? Here's you standing before God, Judgment Day. Here is God. What's in between this? What is allowing you to be and God to be? What's allowing the distinction? You standing before God. You might say, oh, the space. So the space actually is the source of that moment. So the space is even prior to, or more important to, God in that moment. Because without that space, when you're standing before God, that space to create the distinction of you and God, then it could not be. Then Judgment Day could not be. Heaven could not be without that distinction. So you can even say space is more primary than the idea of a God who can appear in some way. But even on a more subtler level, you're standing before God. You're being judged. Now, you are conscious in that moment of yourself standing before God. Consciousness, you standing before God. You are aware of the body, however it may look. You are aware of the thoughts, the mind, probably feeling nervous, oh, it's God. And you're also aware of God. So still, consciousness is prior to, or more fundamental to that moment. Consciousness allows all. This idea of God, now I do my hands over here, allows all, including evil. It allows evil. Because of course evil, like it or not, is subjective. There are so many evils most of us will instantly agree are evil, such as torturing someone, murdering someone, and worse. Intentionally making someone suffer in any way. You could say that's evil, yeah, and I would. Yet, there's lots of debate over, is it evil to intentionally kill an animal that you do not need to, or pay for animals to be killed if you do not need to, or have an abortion if you don't need to. So there's lots of subjectivity in other less obvious topics when it comes to what's evil. Is it evil to smoke a cigarette around people when you know the passive smoke can cause that person disease? You know it can. It's proven. So you're being selfish. Is it evil to drink and drive because you're being selfish about the other people on the road? Could that be classed as evil? Ignorant, yes. Selfish, yes. But could it be classed as evil? Some will say yes. So, obviously, we can only know good because we know bad. We can only know bad because we know good. That's just how it is. Same with evil. We can only know something's evil because we know it's not good. It's not right. It's not okay. So, God is actually allowing the experience of evil to be. And another word I like to use for, well, think about this. Think about love. Wouldn't you say that love is the extent to how much you allow somebody or something to be without judgment or conditions? Wouldn't you say that's love? If somebody loved you only on a condition, would that really be love? They say, I love you because you always wear red. I love you because you always wear glasses. Is that really love? Compared to I love you regardless of how you are. As Jesus was obviously saying in the Bible. The whole love your enemies thing. So if it's said in many religious books, love your enemies, then again, that's not taken away from your enemy doing what they are doing. It's showing that only love can help a person, but also you are allowing that person to be, and in that allowing, then hopefully they can then come to see that they are not on the right path. But going back to the larger idea of love, love is that which allows. It allows, it doesn't hold. It allows that person or thing to be free, to explore, to live. That's true love. So God is that which allows experience to be, and God allows good. It allows evil. So you could say God loves good, God loves evil, because it allows it all. Because it's not a being with a mind, it's just that which allows. Simply the source, the battery. God is the spiritual battery of the universe. Remember, evil is committed by people. Good is committed by people. It would be redundant for a God to set rules, because this God apparently knows what you're going to do. So it'd be redundant for that God to set rules. That wouldn't make sense. There's no reasoning. Even a human reasoning would be higher than God's reasoning, because as you know, with your own human reasoning, that would make no sense. To create something that and put rules on it, knowing exactly what that thing or person is going to do, knowing exactly that you don't want them to do a certain thing, You don't want them to do a certain thing, and you know they're going to do that certain thing, yet you still create them. And then you say, you're bad. Where's the will within themselves from your perspective? That is not a love. That is not allowing. That is not free. That's setting someone up for failure, which isn't love. So God loves evil in that God allows all experiences to be. It allows all experiences to be. You only know love, remember, and you only know good because there are the opposites. Because when you say good, it's in reference to something being positive. You only know something positive because you know what's negative. Even becoming a better person, you become a better person because you know that you have these feelings, desires in yourself that don't manifest correctly many times, and you hurt people. And maybe you hurt yourself too. So you try to become a better person. Again, that's God allowing you to have the experience of growth, the experience of progression, the experience of being a better person, the experience of rising within your knowledge, within your love. God allows you to rise because it allows you to also decline. Thus, it cannot be blamed for anything because it's not a being, it's just that which allows experience to be. If it was a being that was actively creating and making rules, then it could be blamed. You made these rules to set me up for failure. Versus everything just is being allowed by the source of all. And it's up to you as a person to live life in a way that will benefit yourself and others. As soon as you give something to God, you have limited God. Because you are then saying there is a being that can receive. If it can receive, then something can be added to it. That which something can be added onto is something that is not complete, something that is not whole, because you can add onto it. That cannot be God. So all these attributes they do in religion, they give to God, they are creating this limited being constantly because of their idea of God. Again, not the books, but the religion, the people who teach it, who don't understand, who are not awake, quite frankly, to what is actually being said. There are so many metaphors in these holy books, but they've been taken to be literal, including the things about death and etc. It's always how you read it. Yes, so I'll say that again. That which can receive, by definition, is not whole, because something can still be added into or onto it. If God is infinite, nothing can be added onto it. It cannot receive anything because there is nothing else other than it, because it is infinite. Thus, there is nowhere else for the unlimited to be, the finite to be. There's only infinite. God, being, existence. And if that is so, then you see that God can only be what it is. It can never change. It can never decide things. These are all finite concepts. I decided this. I'm changing to do this. Oh, I don't like you now, I'm going to cause a flood. From being in a I'm not going to cause flood frame of mind to I'm going to cause a flood frame of mind. That cannot be infinity. Infinity does not choose. Infinity is infinity. There is only infinity. If infinity is, then there can't be anything else. Because where would that exist? Oh, here's infinity and here's the finite world. No. The finite world is an experience within infinity. This is why every time you ask, how is the world as it is? How is the universe made? What is the universe? What is the meaning of life? These are all experiences taking place within this infinite God that we also call existence. It's like being in water, looking around and saying, where is the water? You may have heard that before. It makes me laugh because that's how it is. It's like a fish in water looking around for water. Doesn't that make you laugh? Isn't that funny? Like, that's how it is. We're this infinite source looking around for infinity. We are that which can also be called God, looking around for God. Because we are so that truth, that infiniteness, existence, that we even are able, with our unlimited infinity, awesome being, nature, allowed to create the experience of limitation. The experience of limitation can only exist because of the unlimited capability to experience and create the limited perceptions, limited body. A limited body cannot create something unlimited. A limited mind cannot create something unlimited. By definition, that which is broken cannot create something whole because it's missing parts itself. But because the source of you, behind this identity you say you are, behind this belief that you are the body, even though you know you don't choose your thoughts, you know you don't pump your own blood, that source that is prior to all of these beliefs, that is allowing the experience of the apparent dualistic experience you're having right now. That's God. It just so happens to be that which allows experience to be is the source of you, because you allow things to be, in that you are allowing the thoughts to arise within your mind. You are allowing the blood to pump in your body. That source. It's not the body doing it. It's not the body thinking. If you say it's you thinking, then the question is, do you sincerely say you perceive a selection of thoughts and then choose some and then put it into the mind? Or are thoughts just like this, like this, like this? You verify that for yourself. You are that which you cannot get to with the senses. I explain more about this in my course, by the way. About the senses. I break down the senses one by one, showing how illusory they are. There always has to be existence because by definition, non-existence is non-existent. If there always has to be existence, then there cannot be actually true death, because in the way that we perceive death is like someone does not exist anymore. No, they've simply There's simply been an apparent change with the body, but the source of the body and the source of the consciousness or the mind is always what it is. Because remember, you are that unlimited source that can allow the experience of separation, the experience of death. Death doesn't allow the experience of life. Life allows the experience of death. So even though we as this unlimited being is allowing everything to be, fall, get up, rise, decline, love, fall out of love, black, white, colors. Oh, by the way, I talk about colors in my course as well. I show how colors don't actually exist. Not at all. And you can verify that easily with my pointings in the course. Anyway. Yeah, we are so unlimited that we can allow the experience of death. Only that which is existent can allow the experience of death. That which does not exist cannot create anything, cannot do anything, cannot allow or create the existence of death, the experience of death. So it's just another one of the cajillion experiences that we as that infinite source create. One of them is called death. But we are always that unlimited source, so we just grab another body straight after. And of course we forget what happened in the other body. To create the experience again of duality. So yes, you are the truth you've been looking for. The true God would have to love evil. In other words, would have to allow evil to be truly independent of creation. Independent of the limitations of mind. A God who has a mind, has anything, by definition is not whole. Because it has something added to it. A God who creates rules, by definition is not boundless, is not unlimited in its allowance of existence to be. You only believe God created rules because you believe that you are a limited being. From that standpoint, then yes, go for it. God gave you rules, and they're good rules, like don't kill people. But actual truth is you are not a limited being. You know, there's different levels of understanding, and on a base level, yes, you need rules, of course, as a person. But if you're looking to really awaken, and you have to find your true nature behind this identity that you claimed, and then you will see that the source of what you are is unlimited, cannot be bounded by a rule. But we are playing a game called life. Because when you see that you are that unlimited source, and when you see it, and it's just through reasoning you can arrive to this, let alone, of course, the enlightenment experience, which is even more conclusive when you have that experience of what truth is. Yeah, when you see this truth, then you see that, oh, everybody must be that too. And this is when the morals just become so easy, because everybody, you see, everybody is you, including so-called inanimate objects and so-called animals. They are you, as in they share the same source. Thus, there is only that source really. Then you're going to treat everybody as you would want to be treated. Like the Bible even says. You treat those how you want to be treated. It's harder to do that when you see separation. You believe someone is other than you. Someone is lower in their conscious understanding, or you don't like their history, or you group them as you people. It's harder to connect like that. But when you see that that person and objects and animals are you too, the respect is instant. And then you know that no matter what they are thinking, at least you within your life, you can show love. That's the only way you're going to help someone anyway who is maybe violent or not a nice person. When you see the source first. You don't have to like bad actions, but at least see the source is that which you both share. Thus, you are both that. Then it'd be much easier to relate to people. You'd have much more understanding. Wouldn't it be great to have more understanding of other people? I mean, how many people, and maybe yourself, have said things like, I don't like people. I can't get along with people. Ugh, people. Because you perceive them as separate from yourself, so you judge them, and you judge yourself, of course. But when you say they are a bundle of thoughts, the person that is, you are a bundle of thoughts, the person that is, but beneath those bundles, 2 bundles of thoughts, is a single, free, pure, single soul, or single consciousness, or single Atman, single Brahman, whatever we can call it, single God. Then you can vibrate on a level which is going to help them come out of their illusions of being a separate being, because nobody is. It just seems that way, just as it does in dreams. And then you wake up and realize it was a single dream. Tat Tvam Asi. You are that thou art. I hope you have a wonderful day or evening, my fellow expression of consciousness. Peace.